hello! If you are here right now, you probably love dinosaurs as much as I do. If you'd follow me for a while, you know that I did a lot of dinosaur arts. Prints, short story illustrations, badges like pins, and mostly stickers. A lot of stickers. I dedicated a whole Inktober to dinosaurs and skeletons and skulls, just because I love the motif so much to draw and it's so much fun. And right now I'm working on another poster, and since a lot of you seem to also enjoy those giant reptiles, I thought why not show you how I create my illustrations for dinosaur drawings. So today I take you through the digital inking part of a poster I already did, talking about my process, my thoughts while I illustrate, and then in the end also showing obviously the final product I made from it. So if that sounds interesting to you, thank you for watching. And for those who are new here, hello, I'm Kaya and I'm an illustrator. Most of the products I do, I planned for convention marketing. I do have an online shop, but I don't make so much ads for them. So when I plan new products and prints, I think of my convention audience mostly. And I do have a lot of people who come to me for my dinosaur stickers, which I'm really grateful for because they're so much fun to do. And I still have so many motifs I still haven't printed yet because I cannot have like 50 different motifs at a time. That's just a bit too much on the table. I have a lot of different dinosaur stickers like skulls and skeletons in different effects. Like I have a clear one on my phone right now. You can see it. And I also have like the holographic ones and fluorescent ones. The dinosaurs are always like a fan favorite for me on conventions. Like I love that people love them. So I want to keep doing more because I also love dinosaurs. But for the specific drawing you're seeing right now, I want to do something a bit different for the dinosaur people. My first plan was to make a motif for a sticker book where you can put your stickers and reuse them again. And you can kind of easily print those sticker books, but they are so expensive to make. It's actually insane. Not only the production is really high, but also the shipping. Because it comes from overseas, you cannot really get a manufacturer here. So sticker books have to wait, but they will come. But still, I wanted to make a motif that could work technically for a book cover. Which is a bit more graphic but still has the same vibe as my usual stickers. Usually I draw my dinosaurs just in ink on paper and scan them and then reuse them, but if I plan something for printing, especially something like a book, I sometimes have issues with the quality if I scan something, especially if I want to scan something bigger than A4 paper. Because then when I draw on A3, which I would have done with this kind of motif because it's like really fine detailed on some parts, I would have to photograph it and you always lose a lot of quality when I do that. Yeah, I bet there are some ways I could scan it. I could maybe go to an in-person printer. I'm always a bit unsure about the quality, so I decided to go digital this time, which I honestly never did for a dinosaur before. So that was a bit of an experiment from the beginning. Though line art is line art, doesn't really matter the medium. So I planned my sketch and my composition to be a bit more graphic, like a poster, but still with the line art and not really realistic. So when I start projects like this, I always think about, okay, what's gonna be the end project? And the end project for this should have been a book cover, so a vertical format. So each sketch I did, each thumbnail from the beginning has to be a vertical scribble, because there's no sense in planning something horizontally and then trying to fit it somehow on a book. I tried this before I had different projects where I didn't really plan that well, but it's been a while ago. So I always have to think of the end product first, or else I'm gonna get so frustrated. Also, I knew that I wanted to have a bit more detailed illustration than the usual stickers, because the stickers are really small and the book cover is going to be a bit bigger, or our print is going to be bigger, so I wanted to have a lot of detail and I wanted to have a detailed motif. You can already see that I went with the full skeleton. I also had ideas for a front-facing skull of another species, which I'm working on right now, so the idea is not scrapped. If you see something move in the background, my cat is there. Don't get distracted too much. Sometimes he snores. So anyway, I was thinking maybe a skull But because a skull is not like that intricate, I went with a full skeleton and I choose the Stegosaurus because Stego is just one of my favorites. I love to draw them. They're just some silly little guys. This Stego it was. This skeleton is actually also really interesting, I think, because it's not just the spine and the ribs and obviously legs and arms or like forelegs, however, and the tail, but also the back plates. I just enjoy this kind of, I cannot call it design because it's like it was a living being, like this kind of species with the back plates. So also I love the Spinosaurus so much. The most natural thing to do with the full skeleton is have them walking or standing. And since the Stego walks on all fours, I had to find a solution how I could portray the whole skeleton without it slipping into a horizontal artwork again. For the posing, I thought I could lay him down and look from the top up from him in a kind of unnatural position. I got a bit inspired by those fossils of the sleeping dinos. I'm gonna show you on the screen what I mean, where they find like almost whole preserved fossils of dinosaurs sleeping, but because they're being under the earth for so long under pressure, they look like really flat, like pancake. Yeah, I maybe thought doing something like this, but not in a like natural way, but like really in contrast to the lining, which I'm gonna be a bit more free and uneven, like a really strict circle pose. I actually did a circle on my drawing space and then sketched the pose of the dino on it. So he's actually lying in a perfect circle somehow. I thought the contrast of the natural and the really forced could be like an interesting visual effect. I mentioned earlier that I have a lot of dino stuff on conventions and people like my dinosaur stuff, and often when people walk by I hear that people enjoy seeing correct anatomical dinosaurs and not just cartoon stuff, even though I would classify my style not as really realistic. I do have a tendency to go a bit more on the realistic proportions instead of the really cartoonish one. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a paleontologist, I cannot even say it, but I just enjoy studying anatomic structures. I like analyzing fossils and see, okay, there's gonna be this bone, there's gonna be this bone, but I'm still gonna take a lot of artistic freedom to, just to bend the reality and make the illustration more visibly interesting than correct. And fossils always fascinated me, so it's really easy to look at them and study them and see how the bones kind of work together. Because I have like a somewhat understanding how it works, I think it's kind of easy for me to make it somewhat correct looking if people walk by. Like the rough shape of the skull, or the giving the lower extremities like two instead of one bone, like just things like that, which I just really simplify. But obviously I choose a lot of the freedom to just like the hip bone or the shoulder bones. You can see me draw, not focusing too much on the anatomical correctness. Put a shape that kind of looks like a shoulder blade because it doesn't really matter for the overall picture. Same as the back plates, for example on the Stegosaurus. He doesn't have that many back plates and they don't look exactly like this, but it looks better on the illustration if I follow the whole line with it. Or like the spikes on the tails. I don't really count if it's like correct or if the ribs are correct. I know where the ribs are placed, but I'm not gonna count it. This is not a biology book. I also don't take the proportions one by one. The head, for example, should have been really a lot smaller. But thinking about the printing again, it could lose so much detail if I would have made the head even smaller. And there's no need to be correct and stuff like that, in my opinion, if you just draw something like kind of abstract. To put all of this in a nutshell, I always think like, what do I need to make my motif look like what I want it to look? And what can I remove from it, what I don't need, and what I need, and what I want to add to it. And I think that's a really big thing with all kind of illustrations, but they're just like really heavy if I'm drawing something like fossils, because the resources you sometimes have for some of them are like really wishy-washy. Like you're gonna have like just one picture of one fossil and then you have to think like, do I need to put everything correct there? Anyway, I earlier mentioned that I wanted to have like somehow more of a graphic composition And with that I don't really mean like graphic design, but more like flat shapes. Like all of the bones lay flat on the surface. It's not really three-dimensional. Minimal shading, not a realistic shading, just a bit of grayscale shading I did later. Detailed in the line art still, but like a focus on the lines. And at first it should have been a flat color drawing, but then in the end while I worked on it I experimented with a bit of stuff and then shaded it. But that was really experimental, so I'm not gonna go too much into detail here right now. For the background I went really simple, also with just a shape, the square, and then I made myself some texture brushes from different kind of plants. I'm not really good at remembering names, but I looked up in which era the Stego would have lived and what kind of plants would have been there, and there's been a lot of fern looking vegetation coming up, so I kind of orientated myself in this era. Also with the flowers you see in the edges, did not put any flower there. I looked, okay, what kind of flowers could have been there and what kind of could resemble the fitting vegetation. But also here mostly like creative freedom, just not completely random. I broke up the background with the self-made stamps a bit, just to make it look less rigid and put everything a bit together more. Also then you're gonna see in the end result, which I printed as well as a poster and as like postcard with like metallic effect, and it turned out so nice that I choose some really vibrant colors, because even though I wanted to tone it down a bit, I always tend to use really bright colors. Just, I don't know, I did a bit of experimenting with the shading and overlays and gradient layers. I thought it was really fun to do, but it was just a bit different planned. The first planned version was kind of pink and green, and then it turned out blue and red. And this was a really quick breakdown of when I plan something with a dinosaur theme, how I start first of all thinking about the product, and then also how I start building motif. And like I said, the sticker book is on hold, but it will come eventually, and I will keep everyone updated about that, but probably not till the end of the year. But the motif also works really well as a poster and also the postcard. Overall, I would say it's really important if you're an artist and you want to sell products, that you think about the end format of the product and how it should look and how it could work, but then just having fun during the process and not overthinking everything too much. So I don't know, the cat wakes up. If you enjoyed this one, I really would appreciate a thumbs up and leave me a comment if you want. And if you're interested in how I shaded this illustration, I can do a breakdown of that with the current project I maybe have, because I go into this kind of drawings a bit different than I do in my character drawings. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on the next time.